Alright guys, we're back with some more Reaction Andy. Do not worry, the game is coming out very soon. In fact, a couple hours after I upload this video. I don't know how many hours, but I know it's going to be on the 30th that I upload this. And on the 30th it's coming out. And we are going to be reacting to Kripparrian. I asked him, or probably his team, I don't think he handles his business email. I would assume he's a very big streamer, right? And they told me that I'm allowed to react as long as I transform it, you know? I think I'm gonna transform it because I yap a lot. This is a 30-minute video. I expect it to be an hour at the end by the time I'm done. You know what I'm saying, guys. But this should be a really good introduction, as I mentioned in some of the TFT videos where I keep linking this underneath. I think it's going to be a good introduction to the game. I checked the first couple minutes of this, like 3 minutes, and I was like, yeah, this would be good to react to. This would be a good little introduction for my community into the Bazaar. Again, for the people who don't know, Bazaar is Reynad's new game. If you played Hearthstone, I'm sure you know Reynad, and I'm sure you know Kripparrian. Let's get into it. The Bazaar basics. And of course, I will be linking Kripparrian's stream and this video in the description below, guys, so go check it out. Kripparrian's super comfy streamer, and he is very cracked at this game. Very good at this game. He played it hundreds of hours already. I think more like 100 hours, closer to 100 hours than hundreds, you know, but he played a lot already because he had access to like some very limited closed betas or alphas even that Reynad gave to basically just friends. Yeah.
How's it going? Kripparrian here. In this video, I'm going to show you guys the basics from a pro for the Bazaar.
From a pro, actually pro. Like, it's not a clickbait. Actually pro. Reynad even himself says that Kripparrian is getting builds nerfed single-handedly. He's getting cards nerfed. He's getting, or not cards, it's like items, but people call them cards because, you know, most people that will play this are card game players, yeah. And he starts with a little intro. If you haven't seen the little cinematic, it's very cute. This is Dooley, the little robot, the little mascot of the game, I guess. Very cute. And you can see production quality is pretty nice. Again, Twitch chat, if the sound is not good, please tell me.
What is the Bazaar? Bazaar is a game that is going to first be playable after October 30th, and I'm going to play a whole lot of it. It's an auto battler, but there's so much customization.
Twitch.tv/NL _ Krip. Kripp. Okay? If you want to see him, because he's going to be better than me. You know what I'm saying, man? But if you want to see me, guys, when it comes out, I'm going to be talking about toes, you know? In my usual fashion, guys. I'm going to be talking about Vanessa's toes. There's like a cooking girl. She cooks, and she has like all the food items. She's not going to be playable on the closed beta release, but she's coming soon, Reynad said. And I'm keeping a buck, guys, man. I'm kind of, you know what I'm saying, man? I'm kind of bricked up, man.
It's such a good roguelike experience.
It is.
Never will you have a run that plays exactly the same as another run.
That is a huge, that's the main sentence, right? Now, let me just give you, again, a little bit of a background here. Krip is a very long-term Hearthstone player and mainly played Hearthstone Arena. He didn't really play Constructed a lot at all. He just was the Arena player. And Arena is where you build your deck. You know, you go into it and you pick different cards and you build your deck. So he loves these type of experiences where you don't go in with a pre-constructed build or deck or whatever. You go into the game, it gives you RNG things, and you maximize your potential build with the RNG given. He's a huge fan of that. I'm a huge fan of that. I think we're all huge fans of that with TFT. And he is saying here, of course, what do we hate most about TFT? Probably all of us, at least I do. When the balance is not good, even if it's like 5% off, you know, you can't dodge any skill shots. So you can't dodge anything. It's an auto battler. So if if Fairy Rakan Kalista is 5% stronger than the mages, they will always win because, you know, it's just math, right? It's just math fighting each other. And of course, TFT, you just hard force the most broken build every single game. Every single game, you go through the same loops, right? In the end, if you want to rank up. he is saying you will not be able to hard force anything. Now, I did watch Raren's video. Check him out as well. I didn't want to react to that one because it's 1.5 hours. It's just so much. Because again, these 30 minutes will be 1 hour, 1.5 hours, man, for me because I'm a freaking moron. But Raren's video is 1.5 hours where he plays the game with Reynad and you see a whole round, and it's very cool because you get like selections offered, like shops and stuff like that, and you can reroll them, but you can only reroll once. Each shop can only be rerolled once, guys. So you can really not just keep digging for that perfect item you need. You can roll once. If everything's trash, you can just skip, or you can just buy it and sell it later. And there's a lot of items where you buy something, right? And then if you sell it, it sells for 0 gold, but it buffs your entire board up, okay? So that's really cool because it can always kind of give you something that is going to still empower you without you being able to... Because what rolling does basically is reduce RNG, right? You want to reduce the frustrating experiences. Like, remember when augments first came out and you couldn't reroll them at all? You get 3 in set 6, and if they're all trash, you're going dead last. And then you could reroll once all 3 augments in set 7, and then they would add the individual rerolls per augment, right? And now it feels really good in TFT. But if you can reroll too many times, like for example the silver augment beggars can be choosers, which lets you reroll every augment 4 times. Like, you already know, you can hard force the thing, right? You can RNG manipulate and hard force the mage emblem or something, and yeah. So if this game, if what he's saying here is true, that's crazy, guys.
Never will you have a run that plays exactly the
That's
same.
That's crazy. That's the dream.
I've played hundreds of hours in family and friends that I've been given access to. And finally, when the game is out, I cannot wait to play it. And I think it is worth your time checking out.
Now, again, guys, by the way, guys, I am not sponsored. He's not sponsored. No one is sponsored. This is an indie game, basically. You have to see it like that. This is an indie game. It probably has a couple millions of investors, right? Because they did gather investing. But it's not Riot Games that can just, let's just spam YouTube ads, Instagram ads, Facebook ads, TikTok ads for the next 3 months. You know, our game is dying. Let's just spam ads and someone will play. That's how it works, right? They don't have those funds, I think. So they are not sponsoring any of us. I'm getting the closed beta access for free, as far as I know, I think, from the emails that they sent me, and he's probably getting access for free as well. But like, because otherwise, if you want to play on the 30th, it's gonna cost at least $30 for a founders pack to play. But you get a lot of like microtransactions, like skins for it. So it's not like you're paying just for the access. But like, we're not sponsored. Like, I have no reason to do what I'm doing here. I just think it's going to be really fun, right? Like, all of us watched Reynad. He didn't watch Reynad. He was next to Reynad. Wow. But like, all of us watched Reynad. All of us have been following this game. Like, some people are calling Raren sponsored, you know, in that video because he's laughing about the Reynad's jokes. No, guys, we watched Reynad when we were kids. I was 14 watching Reynad get tilted at Hearthstone. Like, we you know what I mean? Like, imagine I was about to do something. Reynad would love this. I was about to say, imagine watching Cristiano Ronaldo as a kid, and then he makes a game. Wouldn't you want to play it? But guys, okay, Reynad, you're not Cristiano Ronaldo. But imagine, like, Reynad was the Jinxie of the past. The Queso, the XQC of the past, you know? Like, if you guys are looking up to Jinxie, right? You probably aren't because you're boomers, right? Playing TFT. But you know what I'm saying, guys. We just have genuine interest in that game, and I think it's going to be good. And I'm really happy that a lot of people are getting excited about it because it seems like it's going to be a success. Because for me, for the longest time, I was always looking at it. I was like, man, this looks really fun. Shame it's not going to be a success. Because I'm realistic. When I see a game that doesn't have a huge freaking investment or a huge freaking fund for advertisements, I just think, okay, like, if it's not by a big company, even if it's good, you know, people are not going to care that much. Like, look at, for example, compare Starfield, right? The Bethesda game. Complete trash. to like Lies of P. Insane game. Almost as good as Souls-like as FromSoft games, right? The Souls-like genre. And like probably way less copies sold, way less interest shown in the media. Just because, again, like the bigger company has more advertisement funds. So I thought this would not go anywhere. But now with like all the big people as well, like Rare and Kripparrian showing interest in this, I'm like, huh, okay, so it has to be so good that people that have probably a similar brain to me, that have experienced games just flopping because they just don't have, they have an amazing game behind it, but not enough money to make it popular, right? Because that's how it works nowadays. And they're still showing so much genuine interest. I feel like it might pop, guys. Might pop off a little bit. Yeah, I'm yapping, guys. I'm sorry. Let's go.
But it is also a big-time character builder.
Oh, sorry. Hold up. Some people ask me to give them my referral code, though. That's what I want to say. I'm not sponsored, but there's a referral code. I will put that in the description below this video. It's a referral code. If you opt into the game with that referral code, I will get some loot. Some skins. You know what I'm saying, guys? Some people ask me to give it to them. I was like, I'll just say it in the video, guys. Alright? Already transformed 1 minute to 13 minutes.
The intro is really easy. You basically get items.
I'm gonna shut up.
Improve your items, get more skills, and basically you have an auto battle experience against some enemies. Some of them are monsters. Some of them.
Guys, remember when he was playing Diablo 3, man, and he beat the freaking Babus on hardcore before it got nerfed? He didn't give a frick, man. He tried to beat it before it got nerfed, man. Freaking Blizzard, beta cocks, were gonna nerf the trash Diablo, and he wanted to beat it before it got nerfed. That was sick. I was watching that live. Holy guys.
Players, and it's pretty easy to get into, but the mastery is extremely high because knowing what to do, given the options that you are presented each time, each hour, it actually gets pretty crazy. I feel like
by hour he means there's an hour system. Okay, there's an hour system. There's 10 days. Each game is 10 days, not 10 real life days. It's just how the clock goes. Okay, it's like a in-game element, right? And each day has a certain amount of hours, not 24. That's why I'm saying a certain amount. I don't know how many, but yeah.
Like every single time I play Bazaar, I learn something new, and that is a pretty key ingredient to a great game in my experience. So let's get to it. I will teach you the basics of the Bazaar in this video. First off, we have items. How does a run start? Well, it starts with an item. You basically start a run. In this case, we are using footage from the videos that they've put up. It is going to be based on content that may be different from when the game is actually playable because we are not quite there yet, but I will keep it general, but I will give you guys some pro-level details as well. So a run starts with you picking an item. Now, if you're playing dually, it's between one of 3 unique cores.
So I wish they would let him use his own gameplay, you know? I wish they would let him just record a run real quick and then let him use it, because he's just gonna... At least I watched like 3 minutes, so I'm almost where I stopped watching. But yeah, he's just using the trailer, right? So as you can see, the thing I saw in Raren's video, this freaking rug gets bigger, right? I didn't know that. I thought you just start with the maximum thing and you can just stack the entire board already with items. But the rug gets bigger, so it's similar to like auto chess games where the longer the run goes, the more space you get to expand your army, right? Like leveling in TFT to get more placement. Yeah.
But if you're picking another hero, your first choice is going to be one of 3 items of silver tier. Now, silver tier means that they have a silver border. Bronze means that they are one below. It's a starting tier. And some items start at a specific tier. So some items, the lowest version that you can find them might be silver, might be the next rarity gold. Some items actually start at diamond. So when a run starts, you start off with a silver item, one choice of 3. And you won't really see silver items until a little bit later on in the game. So the first item that you pick is pretty significant to how you will start your run. After you pick your first item, you will pick a skill, and this skill will be a gold skill. So again, it'll be kind of like a pre-upgraded skill, and
gold is kind of
also
crazy.
be pretty significant. The skills are different for each of the different heroes.
So again, just for my community real quick, because maybe you haven't seen this game at all. Again, it's an auto battler. You put these different sized items, right? There's 3 different tiers. This is a small item, this is a medium item, and then there's a very large item, which is bigger than the medium item. Like I don't think it's this big. I think it's as big as 1.5, you know, like a small and a medium. So basically, the bigger the item, the more space it requires, right? Like this is your space late game. And then it's different positioning. Like sometimes there's something that interacts with the leftmost item, with the rightmost, with something between, like you can squeeze them in. And then you have these skills, and you can get up to 12 of these skills, right? You can upgrade them. If you find a bronze item twice, it will upgrade to a silver item, as far as I know, as far as I saw. And you can get up to diamond with it. And then, yeah, you have these skills, and these skills are like passives, right? They can be like something like in Raren's video, the key ingredient to his comp was the more every time your weapon attacks, gain like attack speed or something. And then he had a whole board of weapons, and then you would just keep getting more attack speed, and it would just go crazy, and you would just one-shot the enemies. So yeah, and then you just go through these things. As you can see here, these are the days, right? And this is day 14 right now, so this is already very late game. Let him talk a little bit as well.
Heroes, and some of them I think are similar or the same when it comes to like the weapon skills, but you can also get monster skills. So some of the monsters that you face throughout the game, you can actually get their skills as you play the game. Now,
something important here, Reynad said in the Raren video that you can only get the monster skill, usually, from that monster itself. And then there's like some NPCs that also sell you those monster skills rarely. So like the monster skills are very, very yeah, very cool, because you like kill the monster, because there's a lot of PvE combat in this game as well. Remember guys, it's a PvP game, but it's asynchronous matchmaking, just like Super Auto Pets or Backpack Battles, right? And this game is actually the game that invented that. That's what Reynad was tilted about, because he invented this system. He showcased it on his YouTube channel, showcasing updates on how far he's progressing with the development with his team about the game. And then Super Autopets comes in, probably saw that video, unless there's 2 people that had the same idea, probably not. Super Autopets comes in, swoops in, and looks at this and thinks, it's kind of genius. And then they just make a game with freaking animal emojis, right? This game is very polished, so it takes a long time to make, right? Lots of different items, lots of freaking different mechanics, graphics really well polished, art style super good. And then meanwhile, the other guys just come in with animal emojis, yoink the asynchronous matchmaking, and they pop off. They just become huge, right? So yeah, asynchronous matchmaking means you're not queuing up like in TFT with 7 other players. So you don't have live reaction or live actions to take. You don't have a limited amount of time. You can be in this screen for as long as you want. You can take which of these skills you want to buy or take here. You can make that decision. You can take as long as you want for that decision, because you fight ghosts of other players. So just like you fight a ghost sometimes in TFT when there's only 3 people remaining, for example, an uneven amount of people remaining, here you always just fight ghosts of other actual players at the top of the day. So when the clock reaches this thing, that's when you fight. Every other encounter is either a shop, like a, I don't know, random item or something, or a monster fight where you fight a PvE monster.
Monsters that you face throughout the game, you can actually get their skills as you play the game. Now, as you play...
Guys, this is gonna be 2 hours, man. I'm really sorry, guys. Are you connected with the Bazaar's team? 2 people are messaging me from the Bazaar team, yeah. I am connected, but I am not sponsored. There's no There's no incentives for me to do this except for fun. And of course, if the game does well, I'm gonna get, my videos are gonna do well, which I'm anticipating. So like it's a symbiosis. Every content creator with their game is a symbiosis, right? Like I was never sponsored by Riot. I've never talked to anyone at Riot, but it's in my best interest for TFT to do well, right?
Play the game. Most moments in the game, you are given the choice between one of three things. And it gets pretty interesting when you get to there. You can sometimes actually encounter monsters among your three choices. And when you do battle a monster, it's very similar to battling a player, with the main difference that the monsters have fixed items, fixed health, and fixed like rewards in a way. So combat starts, the items kind of go off cooldown. They start at 0, so if an item has a cooldown of 4, it takes 4 seconds into the fight until it actually fires off. Now,
and then 4 seconds again, 4 seconds again. So that's just the auto battle, right? It's just the time goes down, it shoots, the gun shoots, the cannon shoots, and all that stuff, right?
Items do damage, but the basis of the game is that you are trying to cycle these cooldowns, these items, and you want to have some kind of synergy between them and the skills that you have and the different other aspects of the game that come into play. Now, if you're lucky enough to defeat one of the monsters, the reward is always going to be one item or skill that they have. So sometimes when you're given a choice between monsters that you may fight, it might be the correct choice to choose a monster that seemingly gives you less rewards because you want to kind of take a chance at one of their items or one of their skills. And
that's very cool, right? So you will, of course, first couple rounds, you will have no clue what the monsters can give you, which monster is which. But if you see a snake and you have a poison build, she's probably, if you kill her, she's probably going to give you a poison thing, something, right? So you can try kind of guess with that. And of course, with time, you will know all the encounters and you will know what they can give you. You will know, like, just like the first time you play TFT, you don't know what upgraded adventure can drop you, right? The prismatic augment. But if you look on the internet and you check, oh, okay, one reward is a double Thieves Glove, Radiant Thieves Glove, stuff like that, right? So, you will then be able to make an educated decision and go for the thing that improves your build, not necessarily the best thing. And sometimes you can't beat the best monster. The monsters have different difficulties as well with every time you choose it. Very cool.
And that is a pretty big deal. Now,
and then sometimes you can have a very strong monster, right? And you have a really strong early game build, but you will fall off late game. But if you fight that strong monster and you beat it right now, most builds maybe wouldn't be able to beat it. But your strong early game build can beat that monster right now, and you can maybe get something strong from them, and then you can scale into the late game and avoid falling off.
The experience...
This drops tomorrow, yes.
...gain for monsters...
Someone is saying 500% transformation. Monka Omega.
Is all or nothing. So if the monster would give you like 3 experience on defeat, you have to actually defeat the monster to get 3 experience. If you don't defeat the monsters...
with this kind of transformation, guys, I could probably react to the entirety of freaking Dragon Ball Z, and they wouldn't even DMCA strike me. They would be like, what is he doing? It's gonna take him 15 years until he's finished with this. What the frick is brother man doing, man? Somebody stop him. We're not gonna stop him. We can't even DMCA strike him. If we DMCA strike him, he can DMCA strike our Dragon Ball, man. What the frick is happening? What the frick am I talking about, man?
Now, monsters also reward you gold for facing them, and the gold that you get kind of goes down with their health bar. So if they would give you like 7 gold, if you get them just past half, you'll get 3 gold, and then if you die, well, it's okay. You don't actually like lose anything other than the experience that you would have gained, but you still get the 3 gold because you got the monster that much down. Now,
so you don't lose prestige. Oh yeah, they said that. The Bazaar YouTube channel commented that on my YouTube video, I think. You don't lose prestige for losing PvE fights, you just lose the XP you would have gotten, and you need XP because it makes your hero better if you level up and stuff. It gives them base stats, so it's definitely important. And you get a portion of the gold. So it's like Crab Rave. If you lose to Crab Rave, but you bring it to like half HP, you still get one item.
You are lucky enough and you do defeat the monster, you get a level up, and the level up rewards are different for each hero, but they do, again, have some similarities. Some level up rewards are going to be like get a random weapon, get like something like that. Now, those are going to be based on class items. Now, some items are class-based, like if you're playing Vanessa, for example, Vanessa.
So classes, there's different classes, guys, okay? There's Vanessa, there's Dooley, just the different characters. It's more like different characters. So you pick a hero. It's like you go into a League of Legends game, you pick a champion, right? That's how this game is going to function. And I think when it becomes free to play properly, right, open beta and fully release, there will be currency, like blue essence in Riot games, right? And you farm that by playing, and then you can buy the heroes for that. Or you can buy them for money. That's just like every other game, right?
Has her own set of items. There are also some neutral items, but not all that many. A really key part of the game is kind of overcoming the weaknesses of a particular hero with items from a different hero. And this can be achieved through like kind of like RNG rewards. It can be achieved through very rare vendors or events.
Well, I had ADHD, sorry.
This can be achieved.
ADHD, sorry.
Overcoming the a really key part of the game is kind of overcoming the weaknesses of a particular hero with items from a different hero. And this can be achieved through like kind of like RNG rewards. It can be achieved through very rare vendors or events. And taking advantage of those is really kind of the mastery level of play that you will slowly acquire as you play the game.
Very cool. So, again, I will draw parallels to games, right? Like Backpack Battles that I play a lot. Sometimes it can break the game if you get an item from a different class, right? If you can somehow get an item from a different class. And that's the same thing here. Reynad also said that in the video with Raren. If you can combine something from a different class, and there's a couple of ways to get it, right? Like he said. And that's really cool because those are the fun things. When I get a rainbow badge in Backpack Battles, which allows you to find every single class's items in the shop, that breaks the game and it makes it the most fun as well, right? Because if you get a little bit lucky, if you use your items smart as well, very high skill cap, the highest skill cap you can have in that game, you just completely dominate.
Now, as combat looks pretty simple, there are a lot of details to it that are important to consider. First off, you can actually win by stalling out your opponent. Bazaar is an awesome game where you can actually just have a lot of health, or have, in this case, a lot of shield, and we'll go over what that is in a moment. And you can win because after a certain moment in combat, the sandstorm begins. And the sandstorm is kind of like a damage over time that ramps up every single second to more and more damage, and basically is kind of like the enrage timer of any fight. So you can actually win the Bazaar by, I don't know, kind of playing the property game with Pig and having a high econ and having just a lot of health. And if your opponent can't do enough damage to you, you can let the sandstorm do damage to them. You don't actually need to build around the damage. And that's kind of like the magic of the Bazaar that I really like. Now, as you...
That is very cool, right? That is very cool.
Acquire more and more items, you will actually notice...
Someone is saying 24-hour stream, Pagman. Brother, it's gonna take an hour, but I'm gonna get there, okay? Like, you're making it longer, man. You're making me read your chat.
That you have a stash, so with the stash you have...
Like, combining Zhonya's and Ascension, yeah, basically, right? But, like, even more so, because you can literally... Like, in Backpack Battles, for example, there was a fatigue build where you would just... Fatigue damage is exactly the Sandstorm damage, it's the same thing. And, you could go for that, but you would always go for like poison and stuff as well. Like you would have something else. But in Bazaar, as far as I know, you can literally just have a frick ton of health. Like we're talking 12 times the amount of health the enemy has, or even more, right? And then you just do nothing. You just do nothing, and they just tick down, and GG. It's kind of cool.
A little bit more room. There are some items that actually work from your stash, so there's a little bit of...
Someone is saying, I think the only downside to this game is that you have to pay to play ranked. I I have a video on that. It's kind of popping off, actually. People are getting it recommended. Very nice. I made a little Reddit review of that thread where people are very concerned that you have to pay for ranked. Yes, you have to pay for ranked. You get one ranked game every single day for free. And if you win a normal game, you get an entry ticket to ranked again. Okay? Now, if you win in ranked as well, you get your entry back. So, good players can just go infinite. They never have to pay. Bad players, if they want to just spam ranked, which is not intended, yes. Yes, they have to pay. But that's not intended. Bad players can practice in normal games. Remember, guys, the whole point of ranked in this game is not really the ranking system. It's the fact that you're getting cosmetics from playing. They wanted to do this thing just like Steam has, where in Counter-Strike, in Dota, where you have these cosmetics that you can trade with other players, right? So because you can trade them, they cannot just flood the market with infinite freaking cosmetics. So if someone can just play 24 hours a day of ranked, or let a bot farm ranked all day and just keep farming these freaking cosmetics, then it will just flood the market and make them worthless. So they need to limit it somehow. And they chose that system. Personally, guys, I don't give a frick about cosmetics in any game. I'm very frugal. I don't really spend money on free-to-play games if it's cosmetic stuff. Because I already have a very cosmetic brain. I already have a cosmetic brain. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really need more cosmetics in my games. So that's about that. So do I agree with that choice? But that's the choice they made, so it makes sense in that regard. Remember, it's a smallish company, so they will listen to their feedback. They will not be like Riot Games, where it's like, we will reduce the pool sizes to 10 from 12 on forecasts. Oh, you couldn't find Rise. Unlucky. We're right. Mathematically, we're right. And then the entire community, the best players say, I don't really agree with these pool sizes. Tough luck, buddy. We agree. We don't give a frick. Eagle, 500, like they're freaking playing, like they're part of Deadlock, guys. They have the ego of freaking Rin, the Rin guy in Deadlock, man. What the frick is that, man? But anyway, so I think this company will listen to feedback. And if they don't, I will say the same thing about them. I will say, brother, you're not in Deadlock. You're not the main character. Anyway, so, yeah, I have a video on that. So just check that out. Remember, in Hearthstone Arena, you have to pay to play Arena because you get rewards. You get cards for it, right? But they don't have a free-to-play Arena mode. So yes, it is a problem that you have to pay to play Arena, because the best players in Arena now, after playing a lot, they can just go infinite, and now the noobs go in and they just get smashed by these best players, and now no noobs ever want to play Arena, and that's the problem they're facing in Hearthstone. But at least in this game, you can practice in normals and then try ranked again. But again, this is a little bit of a controversial topic. I made a pretty thorough video on that. At least I think so. I don't know, man. I'm a freaking moron, guys. Let's go.
Kind of like opportunity cost of keeping too many items.
Also, someone said frame by frame reaction, Pegman. Guys, this is just not okay, man.
Saved up. But there's also a pretty smart thing about, kind of saving up a few things, because when you encounter like your choice of 3 things when an hour begins, we'll go over that in a second, if you pick like a vendor, you want to make sure that you have enough gold to actually buy the things that
you see the gold bottom right, 20,
and sometimes you'll get like a skill vendor too, so that's pretty good. Now, I'm sure you guys are asking, it's like, well, okay, what about PvP? Is there PvP in this game? Yes. So there is a player encounter. You will face players at the top of the day, top of the hour, and we'll explain that in a second. So you have the player encounter, and the player encounter is kind of like the ghost of the player. The game has kind of a timing session, and basically it's an asymmetric combat, so it's not like a live PvP, but your point in the game how much you've played this run, you will play another player's build of that same moment in time. So they should have relatively similar power levels as you do. And, you know,
Yes, so you will face, if you are 7 wins and 3 losses, for example, you will face someone that is 7 wins and 3 losses. I assume maybe just 7, like, I mean, it has to be 7 wins. Like, basically, you're fighting the same round, okay? You're fighting the same combat. So, you and the enemy that you're fighting, the ghost of him, you had the same amount of choices to be made so far. Now, he could be level 15 and you're level 5. Maybe not that crazy, but that just means you took all the money and the items and stuff. Maybe you have a stronger board, but he has a stronger character, and then it's still pretty balanced, right? Now, we'll see how well balanced the game will be, guys. Like, these games are never completely balanced, right? And remember, a 5% increase in strength to the enemy from 2 different comps means it completely wins every time, right? Because there's no mechanics, right? You're not dodging anything like in League of Legends, where you can outplay a bad matchup in lane. So yeah, this is yeah, we'll see how well balanced it will be. But just the fact that there's so many things you can pick from, so many different items, and you cannot get unlimited rerolls and stuff like that. Just the fact that you can't hard force certain broken builds is already a huge plus, guys. So it's already gonna be again, I'm sorry for yapping so long, but Backpack Battles, I've been playing it a lot more lately. I quit it a couple months ago because it was trash. It was straight dookie because everyone would just hard force the same builds. But what that company did, and I was looking at that development, I was like, man, what the frick are they doing? They just kept flooding the game with more items, more items. They didn't take out anything. Not like TFT where a new set comes out and everything old is discarded. They just kept flooding the game with more and more and more items. And I was like, what the frick are they doing? But what that made is a game where you can't hard force anything anymore. Because to find that one specific item out of like thousands now, not thousands, but like hundreds in the shop, like you're not going to find it. But you will for sure find the 2-star Kalista every game if you want it. 9 out of 10 games you will find it. So you can hard force the same builds in these other auto battlers, but in Backpack Battles, it's hard to really hard force something. And I already, Reynad said that in Raren's video, and I am very happy about that. He said that this game, they will never take out anything. They will just add new stuff. They will just keep adding new stuff. So basically, the RNG, the longer the game is released, the less you will be able to hard force a build, because the more different things you can encounter in your shops, that means it's less likely that you can combine the same 2 things in consecutive runs, or like in one run and next week you get the same exact build again. So very good, guys. I'm very excited.
There is some information that you can gather, so we can kind of go into this screenshot here and I can kind of explain a few things. When a PvP encounter is about to begin, it is kind of like the top of the hour in the day, and when you hover over them, you can actually get a little bit of information. So you can see their name, you can see their level, you can see their prestige, and you can see how many wins they have. So let's talk about these mechanics. So what is the hour system? So it is that little kind of wheel there to the left, and basically what happens is on every hour something happens. Now
wait guys, does anyone like level 0, is it bugged? Level 0 is crazy, or is there like a crazy item that brings you to level 0 but empowers? Because Krip here, or whoever is playing here, it's day 8 and they have only 2 wins. Now they over here have 4 wins, right? But they're also day 8. Yeah? Wait. I'm a moron, man. I don't know what the frick's going on. No. Yeah. Because look, the prestige is very low. But this prestige is even lower. This guy is on the last leg, and this isn't. So basically, prestige is how you will die. Okay, you lose a certain amount of prestige. The later the game goes, the more prestige you lose. Early game, you lose very little prestige. So you can like sack early game to econ up. And then the more prestige you lose, if your prestige drops to 0, you die, right? So basically, both of these are at day 8, but level 0 is crazy. Because this is the level, I think. Level 8? I don't know what the frick's going on, guys. I'll keep it back.
So it is that little kind of wheel there to the left. And basically what happens is on every hour something happens. Now, the first like 6, there's like the first 5 of the 6 hours, it is going to be like some kind of PvE encounter. It might be a selection of vendors, a selection of events, a selection of monster encounters. You're basically trying to power up your hero throughout these events and basically try to make the best choices that you can with what you have. And every time it goes top of the hour, it is going to be a player encounter. When you play that player, you play their ghost, and their ghost is gone from the system. So if I have some super crazy build, and then someone like you guys end up playing it, that'll be the only time someone else will play against that build on that moment. So it'll be kind of like a one-of. That fleeting moment is really cool. I think we'll have moments where it's like, oh my god, Krip, I faced your crazy god build, and even though you might lose, you kind of get to see, you get to knock it out of the system, and you're the one that had to, unfortunately, face that one crazy build. So it has kind of that cool excitement about it because...
Very cool, right? This is new. This is new, guys, okay? In backpack battles, super auto pets, whatever, you can, like, your ghost will face multiple enemies. Just RNG, right? But here, every ghost will only face one. Okay? So like let's say you play and your stage day 3, you fight someone and your ghost defeats them or it dies, it's gone. It's gone forever at day 3. Now keep in mind though, because in Reynad's video, I saw that he was fighting the same enemy with the same build twice in one game. So he fought them at like day 5 and then day 7 or 8 again. But that guy is also at day 8 then. Do you understand? So his day 5 that he fought got deleted. And now Reynad takes his spot basically. And now the next person that comes in and is at day 5 could fight Reynad. You understand, guys. Who does the first person to play face? Yeah, I mean, yeah. Like, who does the first person to ever play the game face? Probably they made some pre-made boards to initiate the system. You know what I'm saying? Yes. That's because in the dev build they don't have enough players. Yes. No, I know that. Obviously they have only like 50 players, and then you are gonna face the same enemy twice in a like they're probably gonna heavily avoid that. Like you're like yeah, I know that. I just wanted to make sure that not the entire enemy is deleted when they fight someone at their ghost fights someone at day 3. They still have the other days, Basically every run produces all the days worth of ghosts.
It is a fleeting experience. Now, if you win, you basically get a win. And that is, again, when you hover over the portrait, you can see those blue notches. That's how many wins your next opponent has. Now, your wins are listed above the hour and day system.
Oh my god, look at their editing. What the frick is this? They cut it out, and then they look at the transparency here. You see that? They faded it out. Speaking of fade, some people in the YouTube comments told me I should get a burst fade, guys. I googled it. It's like the weird zoomer haircut with the little, like the fade, but it's like dots. Guys, I'm pushing 50, guys, man. I'm not getting a freaking burst fade, guys.
Above that clock thingy. Now, a run is over when you get 10 wins, or you die. We'll explain the death moment in a second here. So if you get 10 wins, your run is over and you have basically achieved the maximum number of wins. And it doesn't really matter if you lose a few and then you win 10 in a row, or you win and lose and eventually get to 10. But it does mean that sometimes you will have a run that is won on day 10, and sometimes you will have a run that is completed won on like day 18 or day 17 or something.
Yeah.
Now on day 10, you will face players on the 10th day. Their builds will obviously be significantly weaker than they are going to be on like day 17.
Yeah.
On day 17, you're going to need some really crazy stuff, and there's going to be a lot of strategy in adapting your build to kind of push it into the crazy tier on those higher days in order for you to actually get some wins.
So I would like to hear about this. I think this is very important. All right? I think this is very important. Okay? So I would like to hear that. I don't think anyone has said that, but again, I haven't watched every pause it, bro. Come on, man. I'm adding transformative commentary, man. So I think this is very important. He doesn't seem to mention that. You are day 10. You are 9-0. You're crushing it. You're probably insane or you high rolled hard. But one of these is true. Either you're an insane player and you played perfectly, or you high rolled out of your mind and you just got really lucky and you have an insane board. You are 9-0. Day 10. An enemy can be freaking 1-8. I don't know if 1-8 works, but like, they maybe won like one fight. Do you understand? At day 10, or like 2 fights. They are freaking trash. Or they got unlucky. Or they're scaling into the late game like crazy. Right? They surrendered early game, and then the day 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, they crush. And they win day 17 or whatever. Right? So, can you just face that guy? Because maybe they're obviously we're different. I'm 9-0. The other guy is 2-7. We are very different. We are not the same. I am him. He's freaking trash. Right? So why are we facing each other? That is what I'm asking. That was one of the big things that I always wanted to ask. Because again, Backpack Battles parallel. I think Backpack Battles, at least I noticed, when I have a bad early game, like sometimes I'm just a moron and I buy like 4 piggy banks to get some bonus money. You should never buy 4 of them, but sometimes, frick it, you buy 4 of them. Frick it, guys. And then you just lose a couple fights in a row, right? You go like 0-4. Then you start facing the morons at 0-4. The ones that are as dumb as you. Right? You don't face the guy that is 4-0. You face the 0-4 idiot. Do you understand? That is my question. Like, how is that going to work? Am I going to fight other people that are also extremely strong? Because I know Hearthstone Arena, I believe, works like that as well. If someone's 7-0, you're going to face 7-0 players. If someone's 0-2, because I again, back then when I played Hearthstone, I was trash. I was really bad. I was like 14 years old. I was a moron. I was just thinking about anime titties, you know what I'm saying, guys? So I wasn't really thinking about the game. So I would just go in, I would pick some cool cards. I would go in, I would lose every fight. And then I would be 0-2, and then I would start winning. Because the morons at 0-2 are just as dumb as me. Do you know what I'm saying, guys? So that is what I'm interested in knowing.
So what happens when you lose? So they have this prestige system that's, again, kind of under that cogwheel. In this case, we have very little prestige left. So you start with 20, and if you don't lose any, you have a flawless run. It is a perfect victory, a 10-0. So you have no faults in your run, no prestige lost. You were a champion of the Bazaar with no slip-ups whatsoever. Now, if you lose prestige if you lose a player encounter, I mean, you lose prestige based on the day. So if you start off and you lose on the first day's player encounter, you're going to go from 20 prestige, which is the starting amount, to 19. And then you lose again. Well, a day 2 loss is going to cost you 2 points. You're going to go to 17.
Okay.
Will you lose again? Well, you go to 14. Will you lose again? You go to 10. Will you lose again? You go to 5. Will you lose again? Well, you die, right? Wrong. So there is actually a res event in the Bazaar where you basically, instead of dying, you just go down to 1 prestige. It doesn't matter how much damage you take. On your, if you would die, you just go to 1 for the first time. Oh, so it only happens once. And you get this res event where you get to choose between one of 3 really significant power-ups, and one of those power-ups is to enchant an item, which is like adding a huge amount of power to it. So that is like a really big deal. So if you get this,
and
you're probably
very cool how, like, again, the polish of the game is being shown. They enchanted this with the deadly enchant, and you can see the red is not just around the corner, around the border of the image. It's like on the hammer in it, right? So they have to do that for every single weapon. They have to do this, right? They have to like add the graphics. So it's kind of too much. I'll keep it a buck, guys. If I were them, I would have just drawn some stick figures. So I'll keep it a buck. I don't give a frick, guys.
Probably not going to lose your next day. From experience, you're probably not going to lose your next day. And if you see a player who has like 1 prestige left, that probably means that they have actually acquired this buff. So even though you might have a terrible run and you're just losing and losing and losing the player encounters, you're still actually going to have a pretty cool experience of putting a build together and kind of going through this adventure. And even though you're going to lose sometimes, just like every single run, when you get that 6th loss and actually, die, but have your res event, a day 6 res event means you're probably not losing day 7. So you're going to get that experience. It's one of the best games where you can lose super badly and still have an adventure and still.
So I just want to say, I think this is cope. No one likes losing. If you lose every single day, right? Every single day, right? You're not, like, it's not going to be fun, man. Like, I get what they're trying to say, what he's trying to say with this. Like, you're still going to sit there for like 20 minutes and you will have the chance to come back. Maybe you freaking high roll something and you can come back. Like, it's keeping you engaged, right? I get that. It's a good comeback mechanic. I like it. Everything's good. But if you lose every single fight, and then you get your freaking Radiant Blessing cash out, right? Which is basically the resurrection that he just showed. And you get like a huge enchant and you go crazy and you win like 2 fights, which you're expected to win then, right? Because no one else has it at that point. Probably no one lost that hard that they get like a huge injection of power onto their board, and then you win like 2 and then you die the next one. That means you failed. Like you played, so like you did as badly as you could, basically. So I feel like it's not going to be like giga fun, but like you're probably going to be left with, man, I suck. You know what I'm saying? But until it actually happens, you're like engaged. You're like, I could come back. Hold up, guys. Up. But yeah, I don't know if it will be like giga, like, yeah.
Have a lot of fun. And again, that's
like a lot of fun. I don't know.
Bazaar. They've really done that system very well. All right.
No, like they definitely did the system very well and stuff, but I don't know if I would call it you had a lot of fun. Like a lot of fun is a little bit extreme for like I lost. I got a huge power injection because I lost so many times, and then I fought two enemies that didn't have that power injection, and then I died right after. You know what I'm saying?
Is another mechanic just to quickly talk about. So you're going to get gold through a lot of the events. You're going to get gold through the monster encounters, but you also get gold when the day rolls over, and that's going to be based on your income. The income is in...
Oh yeah, I always wanted to see if there's interest. No one talked about interest. I don't think there's interest like in auto chess games. But let's see. So there's income. I think this is income and this is the gold you have. And you can boost your income with like items and stuff like that, right? So income is basically how much you gain every stage. So obviously if you get an early item with a lot of income, it's better than getting it late because you'll be benefiting from that for a lot of stages, right?
The lower right. Now the base income is 5, so when the day rolls over, you just get 5 gold. There are events and things that you can do to increase your income, but largely it is a mechanic that is utilized by Pygmalion, which is one of the 3 heroes. He has things that are based off of and can increase the income that he has pretty significantly. The other heroes engage the mechanic a little bit more lightly, and it's just a little bit of extra gold. Gold is very important. You always want to have some gold. You always want to float some gold, because when you click on an event and your next one comes up, if you're at 0, you may not be able to take full advantage of the 3 options presented to you, because it might be like a really rare shop vendor, but you might have no gold in order to buy anything. So it's going to be a constant battle to make the most out of every single turn, but also have some left over to not waste an opportunity on the following hour. Now, the basic mechanics of the different items, we'll just quickly go over it. So there is health. Health is how much damage you can take before you die. It's pretty simple. When you level up, it goes up by a certain amount. It's a flat value based on the level, and that tends to go up pretty significantly in the later levels. And you can hover your portrait to see how much health you would gain on that next level up. There are also events that increase your health by a percentage, which are really important for some heroes and some strategies. There are some things that actually reduce your maximum health. Sometimes that can be fine based on your build, of course. And there are some pretty rare items that will actually increase your health permanently. And again, sometimes that can be a build. You can actually play a build where you stack health and do absolutely nothing else and win because you have a lot of health. That is actually a valid strategy. It's not going to beat everything, though, because some builds have like exponentially ramping damage in combat, but it's going to work pretty well. We have the shield mechanic. The shield mechanic is kind of designated by the yellow above an item. So that means it's going to shield when it goes off.
Okay.
Has some kind of...
And the red is the damage.
In some cases. And shield is kind of like temporary health over your health. Damage is dealt to the shield before it's dealt to your health. If you have any amount of shield up, when burn would do damage, it actually halves the amount of damage, so that is pretty cool.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We'll go into that in a second. And shield is very powerful to protect against one-shots because there are some setups that can do more damage than you have health, and shield can effectively give you more one-shot protection than you originally had.
Classic.
So it's actually a very powerful mechanic. The downside is that, well, do you want to have shield or do you want to have maximum health? Maximum health will protect you from like a burst situation, while shield will later on protect you from one-shots. So you're going to have some balance there. Heal.
Wait, what?
Later on protect you from one-shots, so you're going to have some balance.
Oh, later on you have to first stack up the shield. Okay, that's what he means, I think.
It's there. Healing. Healing is generally not as good as shielding against most cases. It's not going to help you not get one-shotted, of course, but healing is powerful in its own way. Healing, one instance of healing, again, designated by kind of the green symbol above the item, that's a heal, light green, that is. It has a cleansing effect, so when you heal, just an act of healing will remove 1 burn and 1 poison from your character.
Poison.
Can be really powerful if you have a high repetition heal. So in my opinion, items that heal more frequently are stronger than items that heal in a large amount. Now there is healing even if you have like maximum health, like if you're at maximum health and you heal for like 50, the 50 heal still kind of triggers for the sake of your character's synergy and item triggers and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So at least that's going to work, but generally healing is not super powerful other than its cleanse effect, in my opinion.
But I mean, that can just change, right? Like it's not just a flawed mechanic or anything. It could just change if they release items that scale well with it, right? You know what I'm saying?
There's also the next, also even less powerful healing mechanic, which is regeneration. There's not a lot of effects that give you regeneration, but regeneration is basically you passively heal for a certain amount. Now, it's not considered healing for triggers. There's also some rare cases where you can get lifesteal on your items, like on your weapons. That's also not considered healing for the sake of triggers. Regeneration is really good.
By triggers, he means probably items that when you heal, something happens. You know, that something will not happen of lifesteal and regeneration.
Good early and completely useless later on. Sometimes you get an option as you go through your hero's day. You might get like some regeneration early on. That's actually going to be a lot of character power. Later on, not so much. Now, as you've probably seen, damage is just like the red value on top of an item. You just do damage, and you just knock their health off. That's pretty clear. You can crit. There are mechanics that can crit. So if you crit with a normal damage source, it just does double damage. There are some triggers based off of crits that can be pretty important for your character's synergy. Damage over time can also crit. So if you have like 50% chance to crit on like an item with burn, it'll apply twice as much, and poison would work the same way.
Oh,
so
that's cool.
How does burn work? So an item with burn is one that has kind of like an orange icon above its
damage.
Okay. You can have an item that does damage and also burns at the same time. Burn damage is dealt twice per second, but every time you deal burn damage, it's reduced by 1. So if you deal like 10 burn damage and then you never deal anymore, it'll just go to 9, 8, 7, and then it'll just kind of go down to 0. Eventually won't be anything. Now, if you have a constant application of burn, it is essentially near exponential scaling of damage as the fight goes on.
Okay, it has the region. Okay. So the region also gets shown how much they heal, like, per second. Also, you can see the shield with this as well. When there's a big shield, the gray of the health bar goes up, you know? It shows, like, the percentage of health bar in terms of the shield.
Making burn a pretty powerful mechanic to take advantage of, especially if you have a character build that has pretty good sustain. So you can kind of stay in the fight longer and let this damage ramp up to crazy values. Now, poison also ramps up, but poison does not decay. Poison, it will not ever go away unless they have the heal. So if they heal, it goes down by just flat 1. But otherwise, it doesn't decay like burn does. So it's stronger than burn in that sense, but actually it does less damage overall because poison deals damage once per second. Not twice. Only once per second. Poison is powerful, especially against builds that focus too much on shield, because poison actually goes through.
That's what I was gonna ask. Okay, so they have a little rock paper scissors, huh? They have a little rock paper scissors. So, okay.
While shield halves the burn damage, poison just completely goes through shield.
That is cool.
It can counter some builds. Dually in particular is actually a little bit weak to poison because there's not a lot of healing effects, and there's a pretty big reliance on shield for defenses. Some items have ammo. Ammo can be seen kind of below the item, and you can kind of clearly see how many ammo it has based on the little dots under it. If it goes off.
Okay, ammunition. Okay. Bullets, guys. How many bullets does it have? I need more bullets. I only have 6 bullets.
Its ammo goes down by 1. If it has no ammo left, it can still charge. So that can be useful because you can have some.
But it's not going to shoot anymore.
Some skills, some items.
Look. 1 ammo, and now it's empty.
Items, so the items are still going to be.
And now it could still charge, so if it has an effect, it would do it, but it wouldn't shoot.
Charging, even if they don't have any ammo. And that's actually a good thing. And that also allows them to be targeted by crowd control effects. So now is where we talk about like haste.
That's cool.
Slow.
So your empty barrel can get frozen instead of something good getting frozen. Nice. Cool.
Now, I couldn't find an amazing example of this through the footage that they had in their highlights, but haste and slow is probably the most important mechanic for the overall effectiveness of your build in the Bazaar. So, plainly, you will see an item that's hasted in blue. It has that thing above it, and if it's slowed, it's kind of like that brown thing below it, and you can kind of see where an item is during its cooldown, like how much of its cooldown it has progressed, kind of on like that laser beam line on the item. So haste doubles the rate at which the item charges. Slow halves the rate on which an item charges. So if an item is both hasted and slowed, it's effectively charging at normal speed.
Normal speed,
If an item has like a 4-second...
But the haste is gonna last 30 seconds, and the slow is... Okay, now I get it. I was always looking at this. I thought this number just meant the cooldown. And I was like going down, but I wasn't really paying attention that much.
If it's hasted and slowed, it will fire every 4 seconds. If it's just slowed, it's halved, so it's going to take 8 seconds to fire. If it's not slowed and it's hasted, it's 4 seconds, goes down to 2 seconds effectively, so it just charges twice as fast. Now, why is this really good? Well, one way to think of it is if all your stuff is hasted, you do double damage. And that's true. You do double damage. If you slow all your opponent's stuff, it takes twice as long to go off. They do half damage. And yes, that's kind of true as well. It's just that that's only the case if there's no synergy. The Bazaar is all about synergy. It's all about getting the right combinations of items, the right synergy with the skills that you have as well. So really, when you think about it, it's kind of like an ARPG character. Think of it like a Diablo 4 character where you have aspects on every single piece of your gear, and let's say every aspect is contributing to like a 50% multiplier to the effectiveness of the character. When you have like 10 items, each one is kind of multiplying itself. So what that means is when you're doubling the rate at which your cooldowns goes off with like haste effects, the minimum is doubling your damage. If you have no synergy at all, you're doubling your damage. The more synergy you have, the more these multipliers play into effect. In my experience, hasting all your items permanently can easily quadruple your overall effectiveness. Slowing all your opponent's damage can easily be a damage reduction of 80%. It's not just 50%. That's very important.
Crazy, huh?
The other item kind of manipulation is item destroy. So you can destroy items.
It feels silly to watch the developer explain in detail how things are gonna work and how you should strategize for the game. I feel like it rarely works out. Brother man, he's just a player. He's not a dev. He's just someone that had closed beta access. Also, he's just explaining. He's basically, in terms of TFT, he's saying a unit has 1000 health, you deal 50 damage to it, it loses 50 health. He's just explaining the game. He's not telling you any builds. Guys, some people just want to be mad, you know? Some people just want to be angry at stuff, just want to not enjoy stuff. It is what it is, man. Your loss, brother, man.
They are not permanently destroyed. They're just kind of destroyed for that combat. I don't believe there's any way that you can like recover them. And item destroy is pretty significant because let's say you have slow one item every 5 seconds, right? Now, if you destroy an item, it can't target that anymore. So you're going to have a more concentrated crowd control experience combined with destroy effects. Destroy effects are super powerful, and because of that, I expect them to be super rare, but something to consider. The last form of crowd control...
So like straight up, it can destroy an item, guys, okay? Wait, where's the thing? Hello? Wait, what?
Destroyed. They're just...
Look, this. Destroy after 25 seconds. So obviously it takes a long time for this to trigger. It's a diamond item. I assume it starts as a diamond item, so I assume it's very rare. And after 25 seconds it triggers, and it just destroys this and 3 enemy items for the fight. Just random items. Just straight up random items. obviously full RNG, right? But guys, like all of the games that we play are full RNG, right? That's the whole point of auto battlers and all that RNG garbage. But crazy, right? Crazy. So if you have like an item, like he said there, that freezes random enemy items, and you just take out 3 of their items, now there's less targets to freeze, so it's going to be more consistent. So yeah, he's pointing it out beautifully how broken it is. Someone is saying Vanessa can destroy me in the Twitch chat. You're very right about that, brother man. True.
Kind of destroyed for that combat. I don't believe there's any way that you can like recover them.
Sorry.
Every 5 seconds, right? Now, if you destroy control experience combined with destroy effects are super powerful, and because of that, I expect them to be super rare, but something to consider. The last form of crowd control is freeze. Freeze is the ultimate. Freeze basically locks an item's cooldown where it is. The only thing that you can do to combat freeze is using charge effects. Charge effects, I can't really give you guys an example, but some items, they're very rare. The core, Dooley's core, will actually have some charge mechanics on it. So if it's like, use an item, charge this 1 second, that'll basically bump up where the cooldown is by that amount. So if it's charged for 1 second on a trigger, and you constantly trigger it...
But I mean, it unfreezes, right?
1 second. We have some items...
It unfreezes, like this mother trucker is not unfreezing. This guy, look. The spear gets frozen.
Ultimate. Freeze basically...
And look, it's just frozen forever.
Cooldown.
No, it has to be this number, right? This number?
Where it is.
It gets frozen again, right?
You can do to combat freeze...
Oh, it got frozen again. Okay, it went from 5 to like 16. Okay.
Is using charge effects. Charge effects, I can't really give you guys an example, but some items, they're very rare. The core, Dooley's core, will actually have some charge mechanics on it. So the cooldown is by that amount. So if it's charged for 1 second on a trigger and you constantly trigger it, you can actually use an item even though it's frozen.
Yeah.
But nothing else will work. If it's frozen, its cooldown is locked where it is, okay? And that is a really big deal. Freeze is very hard to get. It's very hard to come by, but it is the ultimate in crowd control because it locks out an item completely. Now, if an item is hasted or slowed while it's frozen, the haste effect and the slow effect actually does tick down. So there's kind of a little bit of negative synergy there, but I wouldn't worry about that too much just because all these mechanics are insanely powerful, and freeze is insanely powerful as well. Here you can kind of see what happens if you have too few items. So having small items has a pretty big advantage because, well, you can have more of them, which makes them stronger against targeted crowd control. It makes them stronger against freeze.
Yeah.
If you have really powerful items, but they're too large, you're actually too vulnerable to crowd control. The flip side of that is, well, if you have too many small items, they can kind of multi-trigger. So if you have an item that slows all your opponent's items, and your opponent has 10 small items instead of 3 large ones, well, you get 10 triggers of slows. And if you have, like, burn when you slow, you burn 10 times instead of 3.
Okay, because he said in one of his previous videos or like a clip or something, I saw something, that he was saying that some big items, like big items obviously have drawbacks, right? It's very obvious. It's a very big item, right? You have less space. So like, I was instantly like, okay, well, what about small items? Like small items, sure, they're weaker than big items, right? Because they're smaller. But if you can just flood your board with 10 small idiots, right? But they all synergize with each other, that's probably going to be the most broken build, right? Or like usually. Like more synergistic, you have more ways to synergize them because you have more moving, cogs. But yeah, he's pointing out, so there is certain effects where if you do something to all enemy items and then you have something else that makes the enemy burn for each enemy item that is afflicted by something, then yeah, obviously having a lot of them is then also a drawback. And then having more big ones would be better.
Like an upside downside to small items and to large items in this case. Generally, in my experience, slow items are largely better But that is going to be on a case-by-case that I encourage you guys to explore and figure out for yourselves because, well, it's going to be a game that we're going to have to figure out wholly when it is playable. But yes, all these effects of disruption are really, really powerful, and that is going to be largely how the game is played. Now, the other way the game is played is your hero. Your adventure in the Bazaar is definitely going to be very different based on the hero that you play. On the Play Bazaar website, they have kind of an intro to the 3 heroes, so I'm going to use these slides and give you a little bit of information on them. So when you first start playing Bazaar, if you're just playing for free or you just have, the base access, you're just going to have Vanessa to play. Vanessa is, they have it as a 1 difficulty, and that is pretty appropriate, not because it's overall an easy hero to play. It's an easy hero to play because Vanessa excels at every single form of offense. And that includes just buying the best weapon that you have available to you. You can just play a whole bunch of weapons and have a powerful, successful run in the Bazaar with Vanessa. So the entry level for Vanessa is really low. You can definitely grab some good wins by just playing super simple weapon-based builds. Now, specialty of Vanessa is...
So remember, again, Backpack Battles... parallel, Backpack Battles has a stamina system. So if you just spam 50 weapons, you're gonna run out of stamina, right? Here, that does not exist. As far as I can tell. There's no stamina. So you can just have 10 weapons. Doesn't matter. You can just spam weapons. And then you can get bonuses. Like that's what Reynad did, literally. In his video with Reynad. He just had a bunch of weapons. And then you just spam bonuses, like all your weapons gain +1 damage. If you have only 2 weapons, that's not that good. But if you have like 10 small weapons, that's pretty freaking good, right? And then just spams that stuff, and then he was giga strong at the end. And yeah, you can definitely be strong with that. Obviously, it's all RNG, right? Like if you get something crazy for that specific playstyle, a good player will recognize that and go for a specific playstyle. And that should be viable, right? Because it's cool. It should be viable, but yeah, that doesn't mean that you're just gonna win for free if you just spam a bunch of easy weapons, right? But because there's also intricate weapons that work with each other and stuff that Reynad was using, so even that playstyle, while Krip makes it seem like it's very boring, it seemed pretty fun. Seemed pretty fun. Like I generally like spamming a lot of weapons in games like that because full offense, it's just fun, right? You try to one-shot the enemy. And you can actually do it.
Form of offense works. You can play lots of weapons. You can focus on one weapon with crazy triggers. You can actually get really some of the best burn builds with Vanessa. You can get some of the best poison builds with Vanessa. You can play, builds that are just solely based on crits. You can just any kind of offense. Vanessa is amazing at it. Does have some weaknesses survivability-wise, and that can be solved through cross-class items. That can be solved through like monster skills or potent skill combinations, but that can be a little bit challenging, actually. All of these heroes have a really high level of mastery to them.
Do you know how many heroes will be available tomorrow? 3, I believe. It's going to be Vanessa, Pygmalion, the pig guy that is like about economy, and the little robot, Dooley.
Next hero, Pig or Pygmalion. He's kind of like a hero that focuses on properties, on like large items in some cases. He has a lot of money. He has a lot of things that can manipulate the amount of income that he has, so he just has a lot of gold, which means that you can take better advantage of the opportunities that are presented to you during one of your runs. Pygmalion excels at pretty much everything, but I would say that generally, other than getting a lot of health, he's not really the best at any one thing. It's just that because you have a really high economy and a really high engine to keep pumping out large amounts of gold, what ends up happening is while his options are generally not as good for offense as Vanessa, his defense options are pretty good, maybe not quite as good as Dooley, But you
really?
can usually get better versions of everything because you have more money. You can just pick the more expensive items. You can just
Ah.
kind of pick the more expensive skills that are presented to you.
I was expecting Dooley to be squishy. Didn't expect that.
In situations where Vanessa would have like 5 gold left or something, Pig would have like 50. So you can just pick the option that is not even a good idea in Vanessa's option. So that's why it's a really cool hero to play. Last hero, Dooley. So Dooley, they have as a difficulty 4. Dooley's kind of like a difficulty 5 minimum. When the game starts, you pick one of 6 cores. Each core is going to have a very unique playstyle.
This will probably be my favorite, right? This is cute, and it's gonna be dank.
On top of the Bazaar being a very unique playstyle every single time you play a run, on top of that, it's kind of like learning 6 different heroes. And to be a master at Dooley, you don't have to master quite all 6, but you basically have to master 5. You don't have to pick the last core. You can actually just completely ignore one core at all times. But you have to master basically 5 different classes to kind of be a good Dooley player. Dooley excels at just cycling through items like crazy. His core, and again, there's different cores, generally have charge mechanics based on its position and reward mechanics based on its position. So you really have to be a true master of the game to take advantage of everything that Dooley has to offer. But Dooley's strengths are pretty good damage, but he can often play builds that can cycle cooldowns like crazy, which allows you to get crazy damage or crazy survivability or both, or crazy burn or crazy poison, or just everything can go to the moon with Dooley, basically.
That's cool.
But his average run, I don't know. We'll have to see. You're going to have to be really good at the game. You have to make all the best choices, and even then, you might struggle on some runs. So it's going to be a wild one. Dooley is definitely my favorite hero. Once the game is playable and I can give you guys a lot more information and footage, I will do full hero guides as well as a whole bunch of other videos. And I want to remind
you... I'm not doing any of that. I'm just going to upload gameplay, guys. You know me. Just unedited gameplay. I'm a lazy piece of garbage, man. But Dooley seems really cool, yeah. Just to clarify what he said about the positioning. So you take one of these cores, and like stuff left to the core is gonna do something, and stuff right to the core is gonna be interacted with by the core as well. So like you have to really choose. You know, you can maybe have the core all the way on the left and just all the other items on the right, stuff like that, right? It's gonna be very cool. I think it's gonna be very cool. When is this game coming up? Tomorrow, on the 30th of October. Today, when I upload this video.
You guys, this is not like sponsored or anything. This is just one of the best games that I have played in like a decade, and I cannot wait to play more.
Did you just hear that? That's a crazy thing to say. One of the best games that he has played in a decade. Just think about that. Think about what he just said.
One of the best games that I have played in like a decade, and
like, guys, there is no reason to do that, right? Like, this is Kripparrian. He's been a big streamer for how many years? There is no money that can buy him. Like, no one is like he. Also, when streamers say we are not sponsored, we would incriminate ourselves by being sponsored anyway, right? Like, you know that, guys, right? Like, no one's gonna lie to you and say, yo, I am not sponsored, but I am secretly sponsored. That is crazy. Like, you're going, like, that is complete, like, very criminal, right? So, like, he genuinely means that. It's crazy. One of the best games he has played. He genuinely just wants to use his size as a creator to get people hyped for the game, so people play it, so people watch him play it and watch his videos, right? Because then he can play that and have fun instead of playing Hearthstone Battlegrounds. I have never tried Hearthstone Battlegrounds, nothing against the Hearthstone Battlegrounds, but as far as I hear from people, and as far as I see the views on that game in the Twitch category and on YouTube go pew, like this over the last 2 years, I can assume it's not in the best spot, gameplay-wise and balance-wise and all of that. So, yeah. Guys, I am Not quite as excited as him, but I've never played the game, but I'm very excited. And I'm way more excited after he says something like that.
Cannot wait to play more, and I cannot wait to show you guys more. Hopefully
Same.
this has been a pretty good intro, get you guys started.
It was freaking amazing. It was freaking amazing. Thank you for letting me react. Guys, isn't it kind of exciting? I used to watch this guy play freaking Diablo. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy, guys. And now I'm here. And I emailed him, and his team actually responded. That's crazy. That is crazy.
And, yeah.
Oh, also, something very embarrassing. I saw that after. I know his name is with 2 P's, but I didn't know it's with 2 R's. Kripparrian, you know? So when I wrote the email, I was like, "Hey team Kripparrian," and I wrote it with 1 R. And then after that, I sent it, and I have anxiety, right? I have anxiety, so I made sure I spelled everything correctly. But I was so sure it's Kripparrian with 1 R. So when I sent it, afterwards I looked on his YouTube channel again, and I was like, wait a second, 2 R's. Isn't it kind of embarrassing? But maybe they didn't notice, you know? Yeah, low-key they didn't notice. Yeah, I'm back. I'm freaking back, guys.
Get started.
Say the full name again. Kripparrian. I know it's Kripparrian. I put emphasis on the you know, Kripparrian. Like, I know it's Kripparrian. I know it's not Kripparrian. Like, brother, man.
See you next time.
Guys, check him out. Kripparrian. I'm sure you know him. Let's be real, I am not logged in. Oh wait, I am logged in on my freaking solo leveling account. I can like. I'm subscribed on my main, guys. This is my freaking variety account. Like, this is my freaking, look, Dragon Ball sparking zero. Like, what the frick is this? Like, obviously, you know. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. This was probably like 2 hours. I do apologize. I'm very sorry. Thank you to Kripparrian for letting me react. Check out the links in the description for his video, his stream, his YouTube channel. Well, his YouTube channel is the video. And also my referral link for the bazaar if it piqued your interest. Just, you know, again, I don't really care about the cosmetics, but might as well get them if some people are asking me to sign up through the link. Again, there's no money. There's no money getting exchanged. Nothing. Literally, I'm not getting anything except for the closed beta for free as a creator, right? Guys, subscribe. Peace.